for having me. There are much deeper issues. I've moved into the U.S. And in Maine about 11 years ago, and basically the first question that members of my community asked me which tribe, I belong to, and when I mentioned, so I fell into that category. So there's a deeper tribal rivalry going on in the community, much larger than anybody can actually imagine. And then interestingly enough, even though I spoke very good English, one of the things that I was told to do is go find a discounted housing Section 8, which I didn't know what actually it was, and sign up for all the other community benefits within the government or the state. And my response was, I'm actually here to work and build, basic and become part of the American fabric, which is pretty much what I've been working on for a while.
I'm incredibly fascinated by what you're having to say, so much so that I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to clarify. So when you felt that pressure and you were told to go join, public welfare programs once you moved here, where was that pressure coming from? Are you saying it's like cultural, like neighborhood, like neighbors telling you this is what you should do? How were you pushed in that direction?
Well, it was coming from the community that actually thought that was just a way of life, right? I instead of being asked about what kind of school I want to go to, what subjects I would love to study, and those interesting conversations weren't there at all. And my response was, can we do better things? Can we as a community actually integrate? And let's listen to that word, interestingly, because that had got me a huge backlash. This is many years ago that many people thought, no, let's not talk about integration. And I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for a pushback against this idea of sort of melting into America, becoming part of America. And let's just be very clear that I haven't arrived here as a young man. I mean, I came here at age 29, so I was well informed about my culture and my community growing up in the civil war in Somalia.
Incredibly, you're telling me you not only were discouraged from integrating into America, but you were also encouraged to stick to your tribal allegiances from back in Somalia, and those tribal allegiances and divisions remain here in America. That stat I showed, I'm curious, Abdi, about the percentage of the Somali population on some form of welfare, 80%, and stays that way over a 10-year period. Does that surprise you?
In some ways, it does not. Let me give you one example here. When I was in Somalia, a huge part of the population in Somalia, we're talking about 20 million people in Somalia, a huge number of that depended on $100 that family members in the U.S. sent back home. So there was not a lot of work to rebuild the country or get to work, or just basically building things. So this whole idea of receiving things the easy way has unfortunately actually evolved and became part of our way of life.
Hey beautiful people, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by. So all credit goes to the creators in these videos. Guys, in today's video, let's break down what the Somali cowboy said and why it's eating people so hard, because that's his TikTok handle. So it started with his own story, right? He came to America as a refugee at age 29. He didn't grow up from America. He grew up from Somalia. He came as an adult trying to build a new life, right? And once he got to America, he noticed something that most people don't want to talk about. He said that inside parts of the Somali community, there was a kind of pressure, this tribal pressure, telling people to stay in their own circles and not really adopt the new society they were living in, right? People were encouraged to lean, according to him, to lean on public benefits like Section 8 and other welfare programs, not because they truly needed help, but because that's what the group told them was okay to do. Guys, I feel like that's where problem originates from, because they are trying to fraud the system when it's not needed. And obviously he didn't shy away from that. He pointed it out. So for that, kudos to him. And he said that the mentality of look out for your own, no matter what, ends up hurting others, which I also agree with. Now, this tribal mindset that I talked about, putting loyalty of the group above principles. Now, This could have just created this situation where all these fraud claims originated from. Because when people stop thinking as individuals, right, they stop thinking about right and wrong, and they start doing things just because our people do it, guys, it becomes a real problem. And I believe that that's what he faced personally. It was pressured not to assimilate, not to adopt the work culture, not to blend into the bigger society in America, but he refused. He chose to work, he chose to integrate, and he chose to call out the wrongs that he saw, even if it meant upsetting his own people. Guys, for that, I commend him. And because most people don't do that, right? Most people prefer to stay quiet. Most people defend their own, even when their own are clearly wrong. And he didn't do that. And guys, y'all know the fallback of it. Because Somalis are pissed at him. Because they say, oh, he snitched on them. Guys, what are they still hiding? Because we all know what is going on, right? We all know the truth. Or we all know the alleged truth, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you comment this guy's action or not? Let's see what the other creators have to say, and I'll see you soon.
The Somalian community in Minnesota is so cooked. This like the worst PR any group of people can ever get. This YouTuber called Nick Shirley linked up with another dude who's already been investigating fraud in the Somalian community in Minnesota. So Nick Shirley links up with this dude, and they exposed $100 million in fraud from the Somalian community. They so cooked, this video here went so viral that the president of the United States reacted to this, bro. That's how you know they cook, homie.
The money from?
So we have a thing called CCAP. It's a blend of federal and state money. The bottom line is it's taxpayer money, so it's state money and it's federal money. And the problem is the people at the state of Minnesota are the ones writing the checks. This is kind of the maddening thing is you have daycare, so you have adult daycare, and then you have child care, and then you have health care. And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation, and a lot of those same names appear, a lot of the same addresses. There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 22 Somali healthcare businesses at the same address.
And the government knows about this?
The government knows, they're writing the checks. Yeah, the Democrats over there just writing the checks.
I don't think this is a political issue. I think this is an issue of some really bad actors ruining for everybody. Because in theory, they're not doing nothing wrong in terms of the government, right? The state of Minnesota should reward business owners for starting businesses that benefits everybody. Non-emergency medical transportation is needed. Childcare is needed in these disenfranchised communities, right? Low-income parents should have somewhere they could take their kid to be watched while they find a job, and that benefits everybody. But just like we've seen during the pandemic, when you create a pool of money and you give the community access to it, you're gonna have fraudsters and schemers trying to defraud their way to that money, right? So do I believe 100% that all the fraud is coming from just Somalis? I don't. But are they responsible for a large percentage of it? They are.
Where are we going now?
We're going to a place called Mako Child Care, which actually has another child care registered at the same address called Mini Child Care Center.
So we should see lots of children if there's this child care center, especially if there's two.
The two of them combined are licensed for 120.
And how much money have these child care centers received?
None of those vans have moved in 6 months, none of them. In 2020, one of them received $1.3 million. In 2021, they got $987,000. In 2022, they got $714,000. That's the last I have for that one. And then the other one, $1.604 million in fiscal year 2025. Fiscal year 2024.
I just want to clarify. So when you felt that pressure and you were told to go join, public welfare programs once you moved here, where was that pressure coming from? Are you saying it's like cultural, like neighborhood, like neighbors telling you this is what you should do? How were you pushed in that direction?
There are much deeper issues.
Yeah, the Somali community, they're mad at him. They're after him. Sheesh. Somali community, let's be real quick. We have built a community that can only survive by hiding its flaws. Yeah. right? We have failed to build a strong community that can self-criticize without, falling apart. Because the reality is, the moment someone within our community have a different way of thinking or wants to criticize certain our beliefs and our thoughts and our ways, what do we call that person? We literally assume that person to be non-Somali. He's probably Oromo, Galo, throw labels at him. Sheesh. The reality is we have failed to have these real conversations, the things he mentioned in our own community. We have failed to have that conversation. Sheesh. Somali community, I'm sorry if that was too harsh. Come here. Nunai, nunai. Too much? Okay. Let's just take this as a wake-up call. How about that? Okay? And let's begin to have these real conversations going forward. Because the reality is, we're in the West now, we're visible. So we must have these real conversations, okay? And in the West, it doesn't expect you to be perfect. But the West, the culture here, it does expect you to be organized, honest, and evolving. Chill like that. So just, let's lock in. That's it.
Guys, amidst all these allegations, let's talk about how people reacted, because the responses have been absolutely wild. First, there are the people that are really praising him and saying that he was brave to speak up, which I also, support. And they say that accountability should come from within the community, because if you cannot clean up your own house first, you have no right to complain when outsiders talk about the problem. Now, some people are literally saying that he did what was necessary, right? Because if fraud is happening and everyone, and it's hurting everyone rather, it needs to be exposed, even if it's uncomfortable, which it did. And there's the other side, right? A lot of people are furious, especially his community, and they said he embarrassed the Somali community by taking this conversation to Fox News. And they feel like he gave ammunition to those that want to use this story to push maybe anti-Somali, narratives, or, xenophobic agendas or whatever. And some of them are calling him names and saying it's an embarrassment, because for them, rather than dealing with the issues quietly and internally, he brought it out into the open where everybody can see. Guys, I feel this is where the problem comes from. And then that's the hard part, because some of the effects of the fraud, like, federal investigations, stricter scrutiny, public backlash, were already happening. So ordinary Somali families are feeling it too. People are losing trust. Policies are tightening, and it's no longer just a local issue. It's national news. Everybody knows about it. So guys, the bigger question becomes, do you stay silent and let the problem grow? Or do you speak up like him and risk backlash, but maybe start solving it? Because Somali cowboy chose the latter. He didn't care being liked, right? I feel that he just cared about being honest, guys. Do you agree with everything you said? Because whether you agree or not, you cannot deny the fact that he came out and he spoke against his own people. And they are talking about tribal loyalty, responsibility, cultural pressures, and now all this affects real lives in America, guys. So what do you think in the comment section? Do you think this his move was accountability, or do you think it was betrayal, or do you think it was him just trying to remove himself from the group so he doesn't get counted among all the Somalis that are accused of fraud, allegedly? Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. But I feel that it's not easy amongst, all this drama and, allegations to come out on, TV and say something like that. Because, like I said earlier, many people will just prefer to stay. There are so many people that feel the same way he's feeling. But many of them will just prefer to stay in silence, not see anything, just keep it up and bottle it up inside of them. But at least he came out on national TV to say something. And I feel it counts for something. But it still does not change the fact that those that, defrauded the system should face the consequences. Oh, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear from you. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll definitely see you in my next video. Please stay safe. Mental health is important. Ciao.